So we've seen a couple members of VShojo leaving for contractual reasons, and that's a pretty big blow to the company. And while there was quite a bit of drama surrounding some of their exits, most notoriously Silvervale, and how she basically implied that there are some internal tomfoolery going on in the company, I'd like to step away from that because I've already talked about it on stream. But right now, I'd like to talk about VShojo, the company itself, because a lot of people seem to have the impression that VShojo is collapsing. And I actually think there is some merit to that, not because they have talents that are considered problematic by a big fraction of VTuber fans. I mean, hey, we can make jokes about talent freedom all day, but I'm talking about the business model of VShojo itself and how it actually set itself up to have a very limited growth potential. I actually went about this topic a couple hours ago on stream, and I'd just like to play the clip for you here. Okay, the Nyanners exit. So, this is really bad optics for VShojo, chat. Bro, VShojo got a massive chunk of their talents fucking wiped. And that's the consequences of two things, chat. One, choosing talents that are already big and established. And two, well, not two, okay. Choosing talents that are already big and established and essentially being elitist. Elitist. I'm gonna straight up say it, chat. VShojo is very selective of their talents. They only choose the big boys. A lot of small indies want to join VShojo, but you know what? You're never gonna join VShojo unless you reach a certain number of like streaming numbers, viewers, subscribers, or whatever. Unless you have some clout, unless you're already on their orbit or around their clique, you are never going to be under VShojo because VShojo's business model prevents you from doing that. You're never making it. Again, their auditions, they're not gonna mean jack shit because they're not going to choose who is the most talented or who represents their business philosophy the most, especially if you're small. They're gonna choose who already has some clout, so it'll be easier for them and they won't have much risks. I mean, hell, apparently, again, some things were happened behind the scenes on this fucking audition thing and people were paid to be quiet about it. Yeah, the agency seems fundamentally built around nepotism. Yeah. Fucking nepotism. So anyway, like, try as you may, you ain't, if you're an indie, try as you may, you ain't joining VShojo, bro. You cannot. You are better off trying to join Hololive or Nijisanji. At least those companies actually take in no-name content creators that they think have the potential. They have experience as a requirement, yes, but at least they won't give a fuck about your current size. Chat, look, this is a natural a consequence of their business model. You don't join VShojo for the clout, you join it for the connections, the brand, and their business partners that like allow you to get sponsors and merch. I mean, legal assistance too, but even then, I'd argue joining Nijisanji or Hololive has all of those things too, but better. Are any of the talents getting anything out of joining VShojo? Exactly. Look, I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Look, the second reason you don't want to join VShojo, or not necessarily don't, but maybe there's even less of a reason to join VShojo, chat, is that all of these exits tells me one thing. VShojo isn't worth it anymore. Like, the contracts seem good, I guess, but right now we're not entirely sure anymore. Now, it's entirely possible that VShojo's offers are reasonable and that the girls are just overreactive and greedy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a possibility that the girls are just greedy. But then when you think about it, an indie their size, someone who owns their IP, what can VShojo offer them that they don't already have or they can't get? Right? Like, at this point, the girls don't need a middleman anymore. Think about that. Right? It's likely not worth it when you become big enough. Exactly. Like, artists? Nope. Merch partners? They can get one anytime. You have no idea how many business partners would love to work with the VShojo girls to make their stuff for them. Legal assistants? No. Bro, these girls are richer than any one of us in the chat right now. Legal assistance would not be a problem for them. Brand power? It's not brand power too because VShojo's brand is not strong. VShojo's brand is carried by the girls, not the other way around. It's not like Nijisanji or Hololive, whose brand image is the one that carries the name of the talents. Like, bitch ass, you wouldn't watch a random VTuber called Oros Crony if you didn't know that they were part of Hololive. The clique, if people want to join VShojo's clique, at this point, what are the cliques for? Right? Like, we've already seen VShojo's internal integrity. We've already know that it isn't what it used to be. So what reason do they have to stay, right? They're drifting apart, chat. Although they are still friends, it's not the same anymore. It's not anymore. Like, when you think about it, the girls have very little to stay in VShojo for. Maybe the sentimental value and the loyalty, but like, those things can only make a member stay for so long. It's gotten to a point where VShojo as a company is the one that has to make the girls stay. You know how in esports or in sports in general, where star players get tempted to join other teams if they have much larger and generous offers, and the team they're currently in have to sweeten up their deal to make them stay, right? Well, VShojo has to do that now. VShojo has to fucking do that now. K-Son says that much. Look. K-Son admits as much. Look at this. Wishing nothing. Wait. If you are an agent with better contract conditions than VShojo, please contact us. Lol. This sounds like a joke, but I don't think it is. I think it's half a joke. I think it's half a truth. Like, K-Son admits that perhaps VShojo's contracts isn't good anymore. This is an admission, whether K-Son knew it or not. I have to say it in Japanese. I'm not dissatisfied with my contract with VShojo, so I can't quit at all. But if I receive an offer... Yeah, exactly. But if I receive an offer from a place with better terms than VShojo, of course I will consider it. Exactly. It's like it's like that thing where in esports and sports where star players have to can buy other people. Oh, star players get bought by other companies. It's exactly like that. That's what happened. That's what's happening. Yeah. So, when you think about it, chat, think about it. So when VShojo has to do this, sweeten their deal or whatever, it takes up a lot of their resources. They are continuously going to bleed resources. So when VShojo has to do that with all their members or something, it takes up much of their resources, and maybe that's the reason why VShojo's contracts are getting terrible and terrible according to the girls. Maybe the reason why VShojo's contracts aren't financially insecure anymore is that the company is not making that much money. Again, it all boils back to the whole thing where the members don't even have a reason to stay in VShojo anymore. Why do they have to pay for the middleman anymore? So there's actually a bit of merit when people say VShojo is collapsing. Or at least the cracks are starting to form. Because from a business point of view, we can see the signs. Their business model is what's limiting their growth, chat. Yeah, unlike Hololive and Nijisanji, VShojo doesn't own the talents model, so they have no leverage. Exactly. Okay, let me expound on that. So let's talk about the model that traditional VTuber agencies like Hololive and Nijisanji uses and the model that VShojo uses. So as we probably know, VShojo isn't a VTuber agency. It's more like a streaming org, a collective that makes it easier to get sponsors and merch. They don't have the standard rules that a VTuber agency does, but again, that's because they're not a standard VTuber agency. So they have more quote-unquote talent freedom. A lot of people compare VShojo and Hololive or Nijisanji, and some people even say that they're better as an agency. And I am glad that people are starting to see that comparing them is wrong now. Because fundamentally, they are too different. These two types of agencies, they have nothing alike. Their business models aren't the same, so they don't warrant a comparison. Just because VShojo has talent freedom and they can keep their IPs doesn't mean they're better. You know what other traditional VTuber agencies that allow their talents to keep their IP? CyberLive, MyHoloTV, Sundaria, and a few others. There's a model around small VTuber agencies that can let the talents buy their IPs from the agency if they choose to leave. That way, the company can at least make up some of the money that they spent to make those characters in the first place, right? So, what VShojo did, letting their talents keep their IPs, it's not special. VShojo letting their talents keep their IPs is not special. Let me reiterate that. The girls are what gave notoriety to the VShojo brand, not the other way around. The girls own their IP. They are the ones that made it. VShojo wasn't the one that made their characters, so it's only natural that the girls will still keep it after they leave. In comparison to like traditional VTuber agencies like Hololive or Nijisanji. Like, they are the ones that made that IP. Hololive and Nijisanji's characters have weight to them because it's made under the Holo or Niji brand. So naturally, the company owns it. They only let the talents borrow that character for as long as the contract is renewed. So when they eventually leave, that IP still belongs to Cover Corp or Ichikara. That's why when a VTuber graduates from any of these traditional VTuber companies, the talents can't keep the IP. Again, because the IP doesn't belong to them in the first place. It's just customary for the agency to no longer use that IP after they graduate in respect for the talents that played it, and because they would actually get some backlash if they did. That's not evil. Despite what a lot of people may think, that's not evil, chat. That's business. And not the bad kind either. Like, you can say shit like, why not do what the smaller VTuber agencies are doing and let the talents purchase their IP from Holo or Niji? Well, for one, that would cost a lot. Like, think about it, chat. If Gaur fucking Gura graduates, for example, and she asks to buy the Gaur Gura character from Hololive, do you have any idea how much cover and would theoretically make Gura pay for that? Millions, chat. Fucking millions. And there are logistics to think about. It would be a logistical nightmare. The complications it would have on the behind the scenes stuff. It's different when a small agency does it because they're small. They have the maneuverability to do so, and their brand image doesn't have enough power or clout to need those IPs. And VShojo didn't write it on their contract to get the girls' IP, unlike FaZe Connect's buying Yuri. And as such, the girls in VShojo keep their IP. Again, what VShojo is doing is not special. It's a natural consequence of the VShojo brand, of the VShojo business model, I mean. You don't join VShojo for their brand image, you join them because they make your professional VTuber life easier. The trade-off for a big indie joining VShojo isn't worth it anymore. Unlike Hololive or Nijisanji, who also makes your professional VTuber life easier, and that their brand image also gives you clout. Instead of VShojo, who has clout as a prerequisite for joining them in the first place. Again, it's not a VTuber agency. It's an entire... It's a streaming org. But that's a topic on of its own. What do you think, chat? What do you think? But that begs the question, chat. That begs the question. How do we save VShojo from collapsing in the future? I wanna hear what chat has to think. Let me see your ideas, chat. Who cares? We don't. No, I mean theoretically. Theoretically, how do we save VShojo? If you were the Gunrun, how do you save VShojo from collapsing? I mean, I know you guys don't like VShojo, even though I don't hate VShojo, chat. I don't hate VShojo. Their content is just not for me. I like Kason, I like Nazuna, I like Melody, I like Iron Mouse, but most of their talent is just not for me. But I don't hate them. Here are my thoughts. How we save VShojo from collapsing in the future is that theoretically, they can try to basically reverse their business practice. They can start to actually hire new and fresh talents. Like, they have to be the ones that make the new characters and let people debut under VShojo and pilot those characters. They have to adopt some practices of a traditional VTuber agency. Like, actually have those audition calls mean something. Have VShojo own the character they make and go scouting for talents to play those characters. Like, that's a start. That's just a start. Because right now, VShojo is about to lose even more money, chat. They lost 3 of their founding members already. And one of the bigger ones too. Replacing those talents is going to be hard. Like, I can see them try to maybe woo over or recoup by integrating, like wooing over Chibidoki, Rainho, or Pankalopi or whatever. But that's assuming those kinds of members will join anyway. And again, that's not exactly sustainable. Because again, if these people grow within a year or so later, like they now have the resources, the connections, the business partners, and they don't actually have a reason to stay in VShojo anymore, what's going to stop them from leaving? VShojo doesn't have a deterrent. Unlike these traditional VTuber companies whose deterrence is that they own the fucking IPs these people use. Like, it's this business model that had VShojo be poised to have a very limited growth potential. VShojo's model was engineered in a way where the company itself cannot grow the same way Nijisanji or Hololive can. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I want to hear your thoughts. Do you disagree? I mean, like I said, I don't exactly know their business practice in a very nuanced way because I'm not part of VShojo. I'm not an insider. I wish I was. Their model was engineered to have a very limited growth potential. So they have to change some things to make it work. To make it so that talents won't leave when they get big enough. That's the problem. They're not a game changer, chat. Like I said, VShojo isn't special. VShojo, talent freedom, VShojo letting their talents keep their IPs, it's not special. It's just not. It's just a consequence of their business model. And again, that's a business model that's biting them in the ass. So what's the point? Like, in business, chat, you just have to make sacrifices. It's a catch-22. VShojo needs to bring something bigger to the table than the talents themselves in order to be a creator first thing to work in the long run. Right now, they just don't offer anything worthwhile. Exactly. That's why you spin that around. If VShojo, I don't think any VShojo members are watching this or any VShojo manager or whatever, you spin that around, integrate some traditional VTuber agency techniques, actually have your auditions mean something. That way, you can breed a new generation of talents. Don't just rely on big name talents because they're eventually going to leave if they don't see any value in you anymore. That's why your business model is destined to fail. Holy shit, that's a good video there. Chat, look, I'm going to for a couple hours from now, here's what I'm gonna do. A couple hours from now, I'm going to make a video and just clip this stream and basically just have the title be something called VShojo was destined to fail or something. I feel like that's a good video. A bit clickbaity, but if people hear what I'm cooking, I think they'll agree in some way, right? VShojo was destined to fail. Yeah, that sounds rolls on the tongue, I think. Yeah. We Moist Critical now. Exactly. Okay, I'm actually gonna do it. I'm gonna copy Moist Critical. See you in like 5 hours, chat. I'm gonna make that video after I end this stream. But here's another take, chat. Here's another take. I don't think VShojo is going to be dead in the future. Their situation is still salvageable. They just need to adapt, find the flaws in their business model, and act accordingly. If Iron Mouse and Melody leaves, like Iron Mouse and Melody is basically the Sora and the Roboco of Sora and the A-chan of VShojo. But if those talents leave, it's gonna be a massive fucking blow. Much more massive than the 3 exits we've seen so far, but that won't necessarily mean their company has to be dead. Crippled, like absolutely fucking crippled, their knees broken down, but not dead. They just have to pick themselves back up and adjust, you know? What about Hime no Sage? Oh, we don't talk about Hime. Who the fuck is Hime? Okay, but I can't exactly say or like what specifically they need to adjust in what way because I don't know VShojo's internal situation enough. But like I said, actually auditioning and adopting some aspects of a traditional VTuber agency will help. What do you think, chat? So far, L take or dub? What do you think? What do we think? But anyway, again, that's what my take about VShojo is. So, as for Nianer's individual what's it called? Exit announcement. It's not that bad. I think this is really professional. She killed the rats before they would form. So yeah, I think this looks good for Nianers. So yeah, that's pretty much my take on the situation. They actually need to rework some of their practices because right now, VShojo's business model doesn't seem like it's sustainable. Them asking for what is presumably an egregious cut from their talents, so much so that the talents don't think it's a good financial decision, just says enough about their resources and what they can offer. I hope this video doesn't age well because VShojo as a company and their philosophy, albeit flawed, isn't necessarily bad. It's good in some senses. It just has to be better than good. It has to be great. Because VTubing right now is experiencing a stabilizing or stagnating stage. All across the board, money is down, views are down. Okay, maybe not for some HoloLive members, but as a whole, this is a critical time for VShojo. With all the drama going around in the community and a lot of people getting tired from everything, it's just not a time where they can rest and be complacent. They really do need to rethink a lot of things. So yeah, anyway, that's about it. See ya.